Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. We have so many questions. I don't know where to start. So we got to get right into it. Gila, let's go. By the way, info@ladiestalkshow.com. Send in your questions. We're answering them right here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Yaal's question is, my husband is so quiet, and whenever we're around my brothers and brothers-in-law, he gets so lost. I find it so hard not to compare him to them.
Okay. So now, if your husband had one quality and he failed at it, I totally hear it. But your husband has probably 10,000 qualities. Let's limit. Let's say he only has 100 or 1,000. Let's say he has 100 qualities, right? So you're comparing him about that thing, and he doesn't match up to what you'd want him to be, gregarious, whatever. But like, let's look at the other 99. So how is he in terms of listening to you? How is he in terms of, does he is he good at keeping a job? Is he good at changing a diaper or being there for a kid or whatever? Like you're looking at, I hear it. I'm not trying to discount what you're saying. But what I am having you hoping to get you to see is that, okay, he's not as good as at that in a very public setting. And you need to start to look a little bit and examine yourself. Why is it so important to you what everybody thinks about him? Like, can't you be, happy for him for who he is for you? And what does Hashem want from you? These are sort of, in other words, is Hashem going to be happy at you being unhappy about that when he gave you somebody who, let's say your father wasn't trustworthy and God gave you a trustworthy guy, right? Or something. There's something he gave you, a gift he gave you, and now you're saying, well, but he's not gregarious like my brothers. Is Hashem happy with you? So I'm being a little bit harsh here, but I'm just trying to get you to see it like instead of looking at the tree, you're looking at the whole forest, the whole umbrella situation of what's going on and saying and asking yourself. And a lot of the things that bother us about not getting our way or things not looking the way we want them to or not being our vision of how we want them to do, start with ourselves internally of what's going on with us. What is our errors and mistakes of thinking? What kinds of myopic, what kind of small view am I looking at things in that isn't seeing the big picture? And here's the thing, this is the devastating news about it. I know I've already not, giving a little bit like a reality check, is that your husband knows and feels that you're disappointed in him. And so here you are pouring all this disappointment on your husband for this one aspect, when the other 99 or 999 or 9,999 things that are great about him, you're completely ignoring in that moment. Does that seem fair, nice, sweet, loving? Not really. Okay. So the answer to you is I totally hear it. I feel you. I feel for you. I get it. I get how you're feeling. But this is something that you can absolutely, through using your cerebral, using your brain, you can talk yourself on the other side of it. So while they're all being gregarious and chatty and noisy and whatever, and your husband's, gets quiet or he gets confused. I don't remember the word you said, confused. I don't know. He gets, what did you say, Keila?
Um,
Yikes. Sorry, she's already scrolled on to.
yeah, no, it's just that he always compares them.
Yeah.
She didn't say anything about confused.
Oh, she's okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's comparing them. So it's that's not a really.
Oh, that he gets so lost.
He gets lost, right? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Thank you. So, it's not really how would you like it if he sat there and compared you and said, "Oh, this food is delicious, not like I get." Oh, and look at that nice outfit she has, not like my wife. And look at how neat my sister-in-law's house is, not like my wife. You'd be devastated. You'd want him to be appreciative of you, who you are, where you're coming from, and what you're dealing with in your life. You're juggling a million different things. You're different. Look, a person who gets lost and confused or, becomes quiet in a room full of rowdy people is also a person who, when you say this is really bothering me, they're like, why, what's going on? Maybe they're a better listener. Maybe they're able to be in touch with what's going on with you more because they're not so concerned with what everybody else is thinking. So try and see the silver lining of it as well. Okay, so that's your answer. The basic thing is to do introspection, try not to compare, try and talk yourself out of being that person that would compare. Good luck with you.
I love it. And I loved when you switched it back on her. How would you like it if he pinpointed and
Yeah,
compared?
yikes, yikes.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, Hoovy is asking, I work really hard on showing my husband how I love my in-laws because I see it makes such an impact on him and makes him so happy. My sister-in-law, she's 10 years old, often wants to come and play with my little kids. I try to say yes as often as possible, but it really is more work for me than a help. Is it okay to express this to my husband, or is it better to suppress my frustration and just deal with it?
It's a good question. I think it's a combination of both. I think you need to do everything humanly in your power to logistically make it less work for you. So if you didn't explain exactly, maybe if you're still on, explain this. But anyways, I don't need that to answer the question. But let's say the reason it's more work for you is because she's coming to play with the kids and to watch them, whatever. But meanwhile, she's asking for this, and can I have a glass of water, and can I, whatever. And she's saying, oh, we wanted to do, arts and crafts projects with what are they? They're not called sprinkles. You know what I'm talking about? The sparkly things. What are those called?
Glitter?
Thank
Confetti?
you. Glitter, which my children never had. Thank you. We're a Yiddish household, whatever. But no glitter. You get glitter in school, and when you bring it home, I'm going to look at it outside, and then it's going in the garbage. No, joking. But anyways, the point is glitter. So your 10-year-old comes over, and we're doing this project. And they have this, 5-gallon tub of glitter and a thing of glue and whatever. And it's like, you're joking. You're joking. So
Leah, it's slime these days. That's what's
it's
going
slime.
on.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
the slime. Okay, fine. On the carpet. Thank you. Okay, so slime. So a glitter slime. How's that for an idea? So they're coming over. They want to do slime. Now, your job for your own self-preservation is to logistically get this thing handled. So if it's the slime thing, so what you do is you go and you buy a jigsaw puzzle that the 10-year-old will like, or you get coloring books that have, and each kid gets 3 crayons, and not the little ones, the big fat ones, so they can't break them, and then you're trying to peel off the paper or whatever. Get, user friendly, like least amount of trouble for the mommy humanly possible. Big fat crayons, already, they even have these pads of coloring books, so you don't even have to try and hold the book open to color it. Okay, here's a pad. Everyone gets a picture. Oh, they fight over the picture. So find a way to copy, or get 3 copies, and you'll have them for a long time, and each kid gets the exact same parrot with the umbrella, whatever it is, so that there's no fighting over there. Do things that hopefully don't cost a lot of money, or are cost efficient use of your energy and your time. Not that you're ignoring your kids, not that you're giving them full attention, but you're making it so that your ability to cope with a lot flying is minimized without yelling at people. Yeah, let her have, you got the parrot with the umbrella with a picture yesterday. You get the next one, whatever, that you don't have to manage it as much. Some of that can be solved by money. Some of it can be solved by time. Some of it can solved by volunteering. And, you watch your friend's kids for an hour. She watches yours for an hour, that kind of thing. But if this 10-year-old is coming over, figure out logistically what you can do to make her as helpful to you as possible. And you can even sit down with her and say, hey, you're going to be mommy's helper today. Okay. And here, and get her, like a little friendship bracelet. It costs you 50 cents. Okay. And say, and it's bright pink and purple polka dots, or whatever the kid likes, whatever her favorite color is, and say that you're going to earn this today. So you come, and first thing I want you to do is I want you to do this jigsaw puzzle with them. Okay. And then in the app, when that's finished, and try and keep their attention, and try and make it exciting for them. When that's finished, then I want you to, here's some coloring books, here's some parrots with the umbrellas. This is the most ridiculous example, but whatever. So here's some, give everybody their thing, and here's everyone's fat crayons, and you're going to watch them do that. Make it easier for you to live with this. Then, if you still have the need to complain, or to say it's hard for you, or that you tried it 3 times and she's just not the type, and she just sits there and she, keeps pouring glitter all over their coloring books, whatever it is that's bothering you about feeling like you have to watch her, then that, after you've given a real honest try, then you might say to your husband, I really love your sister, my sister-in-law, whatever, and I've tried to bond, whatever. It's very hard for me. Here are some of the reasons. It might be lashon hara for you to tell him. So tell as little reasons as you have to tell him in order for him to get it. And then and say, and so instead of having her over, twice a week, I think once a week is about what I can handle. And then again, manage your life so that on Tuesdays when she comes, you already have the lunches made, you already have, the kids' clothes put out for their after their baths, so whatever it is, so that her being there doesn't drive you crazy. Okay, best of luck with it. Again, this is a logic. This is using your brain to think about it. It's a beautiful question because you're asking how to not hurt your husband. So I get where you're coming from. It's beautiful, but also do the logistics homework. And if you're not good at logistics, and some people aren't, find a friend who is, maybe a sister, maybe a sister-in-law, maybe a friend, maybe a rebbitzin or whatever, that you can brainstorm and say, this late girl comes over. What do you think I can do to help, mitigate this situation, to make it less, because it's very frustrating for me, talk to somebody who is logistic, but it's a logistic issue. Best of luck to you. Good question. Okay, good.
Great. Sarah Leah is asking, I read your book, woohoo, fan here, and try to implement what you teach. Ever since I've backed off and stopped being a policewoman, my husband asks why I don't wake him up anymore. I've tried explaining that I don't want to be a nag and I prefer if he uses alarm clocks, but he feels like I used to care about him more when I would wake him up. I'm not sure where to put myself now.
That's adorable. So first of all, did you get him the best alarm clock you could possibly get? Like a black one with, they have these Shabbos alarm clocks that, wake you up, whatever, that you put a thing over and you can't press the button, get him, if you can, try and get him a really good one that is, his type. Either plug in or battery operated, doesn't matter. But, one that sort of, in other words, that's part of him feeling like you care about him. So that's one thing. The other thing is, it could be that you just haven't sold him on the idea. If you just cold turkey stopped waking him up, then I would imagine, vice versa. If he did that to you, you'd feel like, you don't love me anymore. What's going on? So I totally get that. But if you were to say to him, listen, I realize that, me waking you up and get up, why aren't you up yet? Yeah. I just feel like it's setting a bad precedent for our relationship. The kids hear me do it. It feels like I'm nagging you. I just don't think it's a good setup. And maybe you can say, I took a class. Don't say with me. I don't want him to hate me. No, whatever. You can say it's with me. But, say, I took a class and it said that if a woman becomes her husband's policeman, then it seeps into every area of their life. And I don't want that to happen. You're my king. You're my total king. And I don't want to be your policeman. So this is setting a precedent for it. So how can we do this in a way that I'm not your policeman? If, you want me to come in and wake you up because you prefer that to an alarm clock, I can hear that, but I don't think it's a good precedent, but I'll do it if you really, 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 really want me to. So that way he feels like he has some choice in the matter. But if you've done used your Bini Sarah, your woman's intuition to be able to explain it to him in a way that he will buy into, that, yeah, maybe you're right. And it could be something over time. It could be that you are his policeman for this period of time, and then you wean off of it. And you can tell him that. You can say, well, all right, I'll keep doing it for another 2 months, but come Rosh Hashanah, come, Pesach, let's try it this new way, if that's okay with you. Give him some choice in it, and hopefully with much more communication, you'll have better luck with it. Okay, great question.
Okay, great. So Lavana's asking, I'm a sensitive person and often get hurt by my in-laws' comments. I overanalyze and I feel hurt. My way to protect myself is to have them over less, but my husband thinks we still need to have them occasionally, and it's an avodah I need to work on. I feel like he's picking his parents over me, but I also wonder if there's some truth to what he says. If I'm a happier wife with less involvement with my in-laws, doesn't shalom bayis come first?
So yes, shalom bayis does come first. Sometimes it's hard for the husband to hear that and to act upon that. He feels like, wait, kibbutz aim, hello, and it's not the wife's necessarily job to teach the husband exactly how he should do it. You know what I'm saying? How a husband should behave towards his parents, or what he should, what priority he should make. Yes, it's true. His priority should be his wife. My husband should leave his home and cleave to his wife. We know this is a chazal. This is a very important aspect of the Torah. But it isn't necessarily the easiest thing for a wife to be the quote unquote teacher of him in this. So your best bet is to try and have him understand the pain of the words that your parents said. So after his parents come, you can tell him beforehand. You can say, listen, your mom says these mean things and whatever. He's like, well, yeah, well, just ignore him. Why do you care? Whatever. So then after, you can say, look, remember I said, oh, Sarala did a great job in her homework, and your mom said not good enough, a B's not very good, or whatever it is that she said. Recount it back to him and say, that hurt Sarala's feelings, and it made me feel like, I can't protect my own children. So do you understand why I want to have them less here? Do you think there's a way that you could talk to your mom, or whatever? If that usually isn't going to go well, because they're not necessarily so trainable, and so your job here is to help your husband to see where you're coming from. But if you do it in a way of, "No, you should do this, and why aren't you doing that?" Whatever, if you do it in that way, it's not going to be great. If you do it in a way where he can really hear you, basically sharing your emotions and your feelings about it and specific examples, I think you're going to have the best luck. You're not in the greatest place. It's a hard, challenging thing to do. But again, this is where you got to up your communication ability, your ability to see it from his side, to hear what he thinks about it, and genuinely share yourself about how you feel about it, which makes a woman feel vulnerable. And if you don't have a history of your husband of being vulnerable and your husband taking care of you, then it can be challenging. So take it slowly, think very carefully how you're going to approach it before you do. Maybe get a notebook and make a journal of how you're going to say it, what you're going to say, what he could potentially say, maybe do role playing with a close confidant that will protect the relationship and feels that shalom bayis is the most important thing. And with enough planning and enough davening to Hashem to help you with this, I wish you bracha that it should go well. It's a good question, and it's thoughtful, and but it's definitely worth doing, and it will bring you closer together. Any communication from a deep place always brings you together if it's not done with anger. Okay, go ahead, Gila. Wow.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
You guys are hitting really heavy duty questions today.
Okay. Everyone's coming fully loaded.
Yeah, yeah.
Reed's question is, my husband never buys me gifts. I'm so fed up and feel so unloved. Why does everyone else always get things and not me? I can't help feeling that it's so unfair, and I feel so annoyed at him. How can I get more gifts?
Wow, woman after my own heart. Thank you. Okay. So here's the thing, crucial to understand. Men don't necessarily understand about gifts. They don't understand. First of all, some women could care less about gifts. I haven't met one, but I'm sure they're out there. But men usually don't get it, and women are mad at them for not getting it when there is a very, very easy solution. Now, would it be nice if you had a magic wand and you could go like this and your husband suddenly loved to give you gifts? Yes. Is that possible? No. So here's the next best thing. Okay. You go out and buy the gifts yourself. You go shopping, you see this, kitchen gadget that's $24. You're like, what? Who would ever spend that? Spend it, buy it. You see another thing, you're out there and you see a piece of jewelry that's $11, at a thrift store or at a secondhand or a garage sale. Buy it for yourself. So you go and collect a lot of these gifts that you would genuinely want, but wouldn't necessarily spend the money on yourself. And you put them in a shoebox, or if it's more bigger stuff, in a bigger box or a Tupperware, something, and you give it to your husband and say, every Friday, Erev Shabbos, instead of flowers, I want something from that box, or for Rosh Hashanah, or for my birthday, or for no reason at all, Rosh Chodesh, every Rosh Chodesh, I want a gift from that box, and you keep filling the box. Now, I've done this a million years. Okay, a lot of years I've been teaching women this, and they're like, Leah, excuse me, like, how would that feel good? Like, right? Like I bought this, a thing to open avocados and it takes out the pit and it whatever, and yes, I wouldn't have bought it for $14.99. It's a total waste of money, sort of, I will use it. I do want it, so I give it to my husband. How can it possibly feel good of him just taking it out of a box and handing it to me? Why would that feel good? So the answer to the question is, I have no idea why it feels good. No idea. Zero idea. All I know is it does. And I have thousands of women who are doing this and say, Leah, I get an email. Leah, I was so skeptical, and I thought it was ridiculous and whatever. But guess what? I tried it. And oh my goodness, he was happy. I was happy. He finally gave me a gift I want. He's always buying me a purple sweater with green polka dots and orange stripes and, whatever. But now I buy a sweater, I put it in there. He gives it to me. Sometimes I have to wait longer than I'd want for the thing I got or whatever, but he hands it to me and I wear it. And then when people say, oh, where'd you get that? My husband gave it to me. I say it to the kids. I don't say it so much, by the way, to everybody else, because they will, again, end up like with this lady. How come everybody else gets gifts and I don't, right? Or you can start teaching them this trick. But anyway, the bottom line is, I get it. Gifts make a woman feel special, appreciated, loved, etc. Okay. Husbands are, they have a DNA thing missing, DNA cell. What is it? DNA fiber. Part of their DNA is missing with this, most men. So buy them yourself. Explain to your husband, say, it's so funny. I learned this thing in class. It's the craziest thing, where a woman buys herself gifts, gives them to her husband, and then he parses them out. He gives them to her on special occasions or whatever. The husband's relieved because he is off the hook and not, will she like this? Will she not like this? Or he doesn't even think about it. And this way, the woman always gets the gifts that she likes, and the husband's off the hook from having to find them. A lot of men don't like to shop, so it's like, oh gosh, but if it's all there, they're very happy. And then here's the beautiful part, and tell him, say, when you give that to me and I receive it, first of all, besides fulfilling the mandate of the role of the husband as the giver, there's a Gemara, the role of the husband is the giver and the wife is the receiver. So this fulfills that beautiful flow of natural bracha, from Shemayim through the husband into the wife. Not only that, it also makes me feel like cared about. And don't hesitate, if you're having a low day and you whatever, and this happened and that happened, to turn to your husband and say, you know what, I could use something from the box right now. Okay, he won't even remember to give you the items from the box. Don't be mad at him. They're missing a part of their DNA for this. You can remind him, and your job is to be thoroughly and totally satisfied with whatever he hands you. Don't say, oh, well, I bought it in the first place, right? No, don't think that in your heart. And your neshama knows that how beautiful this thing is. This is a try this at home activity. You will not believe how beautiful this feels. Okay, good luck to you. I'm telling you, you're in for a huge surprise. You're going to love it. Okay, good.
Leah, one question. What's the budget? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, unlimited budget. No, the budget, whatever. If it's something you're going to use, you've been wanting this pot that has a thick layer on the bottom that makes it retain the heat more. And it's
Leah, I love you. No one's thinking pots. They're thinking diamonds.
Diamonds.
There's this
okay,
pot.
Okay, you're right.
Nobody wants a pot.
I'm with you. Okay, well, let me just finish this stupid story because this doesn't relate to anybody. But anyway, you wanted that and it's $68 and you're like, you would never buy something, whatever, but you really need it and whatever. So buy that for yourself, and then tell him to give it to you right away because you don't want it sitting under the bed. But anyway, or wherever he's going to keep his box. So that's one thing. But if it's jewelry, again, if it's Yantif or it's your birthday, it's a round numbered birthday. Some people do when they turn, 31, they get this, 32. When they turn 35, they get a bigger present, something like that. So you use your judgment of what is appropriate. First of all, a man will spend a lot more money on gifts to you than you would on yourself. Like, in other words, if you want to buy a bracelet, right, you go to the discount thing. You maybe you saw in a catalog or online or something, you saw this gorgeous, beautiful bracelet and it was $450. Well, forget about it. Your husband would feel obligated to buy it. You got the exact same bracelet, the exact same one, not the same manufacturer, same everything, for $200. because women just are shoppers and diggers. I mean, some guys are too, but mostly women are usually much better shoppers. So he's going to do better financially with you buying the presents, putting them in, than he would otherwise. So, and he'd be willing to spend the $450 if you really wanted a bracelet. So, whatever. Or I'm using American dollars. I don't know how it is in the rest of the world. But I also do know that there's something about a wife receiving from her husband, that if her husband is, let's say you're shopping and, they have these beautiful white peaches. Have you ever had white peaches? Oh my gosh, they're so sweet and yum. The skin is just the right texture. And, you get them, but they're like 3 times more expensive than a regular plum or peach or whatever, right? So you're like, oh, that's a little bit ridiculous. So you spend $2 on this plum, peach, what did I say? White peach, and you give it to your husband to give to you. You're eating that peach. There's something different that's happening neshama wise, in the spiritual plane of reality of your pleasure, both your guf and your neshama, your body and your soul. There's a different pleasure that's available there when it comes from your husband, from his hand. And even if he says, "Oh, grab something from the box," it's got to come from his hand. You can tell him, "I want the pot," or "I want the diamond," or "I want the bracelet," whatever, the peach, "I want that item," you can tell him, but it needs to come from his hand to your hand. And there's the Chazal that explain this that I can't think of right now. But anyhow, okay. Best of luck. Get those gifts. Get them coming. Get them coming. Get the flow. Get the flow. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have time for another question?
Yeah, one more question. Aviva's question is, I feel like I'm not coping with life and I'm always overwhelmed and emotional. I have a lot of kids and I work. I feel so bad for my husband. He married a fun, easygoing girl, and now he's stuck with a heavy, emotional wife. He is very supportive, but I have so much guilt. I just want to lighten up again.
Wow. Okay. So 2 things. One is you're a sweetie pie for recognizing this in yourself and wanting to be your best self. That's really, you should feel very proud of it yourself in the midst of all your turmoil and your kids and your life and whatever. You're peeking your head out of the morass and recognizing that there's a better possibility in your life. So I'm really impressed with you about that. That's first of all. And then the second thing is, it probably, I hear a feeling of like there's no um I want to say escape, but that's not really the right word. There's no window of time where you're able to just do something for you. Like, I don't know whether it's either, just at night getting a coloring book and coloring, or a jigsaw puzzle, or I don't know, when you were a girl, what you like to do. Maybe it was singing. So maybe singing has gone from your life. You used to Shabbos afternoon, sing all Shabbos afternoon with your girlfriends or whatever, or your sisters. Get on the phone and sing with your sister. Find pockets of a place where you can be. It's not just all about everybody else. You gotta do this, gotta do, like that. So I would that would be the first thing. But the other thing that you have to understand is that I hear that guilt feeling, because we all carry that, of like, we wished we would be better, and that's the best part of ourself that feels bad about not being our best self. So yasher koach on that. But there's also this sense that what I'm doing and who I am is not good enough, and that's kind of with the external world and our parents and our the perfect people who walk around in our midst, that we're not quite as good as anybody else, and so we kind of beat ourselves up and beat ourselves down. And isn't that funny? Beat up and beat down is the same, has the same meaning. But anyway, it's kind of like we're hard on ourselves, and your husband loves you for what who you are, and being lighthearted comes with when you have a huge amount of responsibilities and a lot of things that you need to be doing and should be doing and so forth, it's hard to be that light-hearted person. And that's why I'm recommending doing something lighthearted, that might bring it back into you and bring it back into your relationship. And also, maybe managing your time a little bit better so that you aren't feeling so overburdened by taking care of everything. And the last thought I had about it is that if you were to say to your husband, you know, I used to be more lighthearted. Do you have some advice for me on how to get more lighthearted? I feel like I have so many burdens, if you think he's going to give you something productive, if you think he's going to say, yeah, well, you just need to get, you know, if he's going to make you feel worse, then don't do what I'm saying now. But if you think that you can have a voice with him and have a communication with him, you know, our husbands have a lot of wisdom that we don't give them credit for, and he might have some insights. You might tell him, you know, listen, I had a teacher who told me that I should spend more time, you know, at least some time every single day doing something lighthearted, you know, that would help. What do you think? And he'll say, yeah, it's a good idea. And I go, well, do you mind watching the kids while I do it or whatever, you know, so you've got to work that out. Really good question. Really good questions today. Whoa, right? Okay, that's all we have time for. Let me give you a homework assignment this week. One time, everybody who's watching this show has to get a timer and 5 minutes of doing something lighthearted. Must, between this week and next week. Clock it out, mark it on your calendar, 5 minutes between now and next week, where you do something lighthearted that you thoroughly enjoy. You can look back to your childhood to think of what that might be. Buy yourself a coloring book that you do while you're on the phone talking to your auntie that you need to talk to all the time. Or, you know, you can multitask. That's okay. But something that brings joy to your heart. Okay, this is Leah Retimer. We'll see you next week.